Hi everybody, Bill Angelos here with another web tutorial. This one is on Better WP Security. I think that website security is a very important thing these days, and it's something that a lot of people don't really spend a lot of time on. The reason why I want to cover this is because just a little bit of prevention can go a long way to saving you from a lot of headaches down the road. And I want to go over that exactly why that is. So I'm going to show you some websites first before we get into the actual tutorial. And the first one is we're going to look at the majestic of a site that I talked to the owner, and he said it was okay to use his site. And he's got a decent amount of backlinks, decent amount of referring domains. None of these he's built. All of those are either natural or, as you'll see, unnaturally built by other people. So you can see down here, the majority of his links are URL links. This one here is a handbag. This one's another handbag. This one is another handbag. Louis Vuitton. This is for boots. Louis Vuitton. So as you can see, these are not links that he really wants to his website. So you can come down here and you can just see the different, the top rated links to his site. They're all handbags, all of them, and they're from different websites. So he's got to go in here and he's got to do a disavow with Google so that he can clean up his back end. Anybody who's ever done a disavow knows it's going to take months for this to get cleaned up. So you're not going to see immediate results. You're looking at 3 to 6 months on average. Not to mention all the time involved of having to go in and disavow each domain. I mean, you can go in and disavow each link individually, but it's probably just going to be faster just to disavow entire domains. But when you look up here, there's 223 of them. We'll be generous and say that 50 were ones that he wants. So he's still got a considerable amount, almost 175, that he's going to have to go in and take out himself. Now, here's a website. So this website here looks fine, looks normal. But when we look at the back end of it, all the backlinks are Washington Redskins jersey, New York Jets jersey, Cardinals jersey, Detroit, all kinds of football teams. And this is not something that you expect from a website like this. It's a PR1 website. That doesn't mean much. But the page that they set up when they hack is this one here, Cardinals jersey. Looks like garbage. All it's meant to do is point link juice at their site that they're trying to sell stuff on. Okay? Hackers are not there to deface your websites anymore. Hackers are trying to make money. Hackers realized a while ago that it's not worth it. It's not worth their time and energy to hack your websites just to deface them, take them down, whatever. Hackers now are all about making money. Anything that they can do to make money is what they're going to do. Now, I contacted the web host for this website well over a month ago, and you can see how little they care about their client. So it's pretty sad. Now, I want to go over actual stuff that you can do to prevent this kind of stuff from happening. Okay, so I'm going to use one of my sandbox sites, something that we just used from time to time to build up different things that we want to test out. We're going to go into plugins and add new. And unfortunately, this is not on the fastest host, so it will take a second. Okay, so we're just going to punch up Better WP Security. That's the name of the plugin. Okay, we found it right at the top of the list. That's what we want, so we're going to install it now. Okay, so now that's been installed, completely activated, and now we have an extra tab down here at the bottom that says Security. So we click on that and it will open up the dashboard. And the first option we have is to create a database backup. That is exactly what you want to do. Before you do anything else, you want to back up your website. So just in case we screw something up horribly, you can do that. So I'm going to pass on this for now because I've already got, well, I really don't care about this site. But definitely the first thing you should do is create a backup. Okay. Now you're presented with a couple more basic options. This is like a software install wizard. It's going to ask you if you want to just do the basic or if you want to customize it all yourself. For most people, I recommend just doing this. Okay, this is exactly what you're going to need, and it's going to do most things for you. Okay, and as you can see, we've got a little bit of orange, a lot of green, and a little bit of blue, and no red. Red is what you don't want. So anything in red you want to get rid of for sure. The orange things are things that you want to get done, and the green things are things you've already got in place correctly. Now all the blue stuff is things that could possibly screw up your website. So for most people, that basic wizard is going to be exactly what you need, what you want. Now, real quick before we go on, number 4 up here and number 5, we took care of this before. We switched the users, and we deleted the original user. So we didn't have to do that. You would probably have to do that. And what that's going to be involving is going to your users, adding a new user, and then logging on to that new user profile and deleting the admin. So it's very simple, very, very easy to do. Let's go through this point by point, and we'll talk about some of the different things. And we're going to skip over the blue things for now because that is beyond a basic setup. That's going to be a little bit more advanced, and for a lot of people, it's really not going to be necessary unless you absolutely know what's going on. Okay, number 1, enforcing strong passwords. I don't like to use number 1 at all. It's a personal preference. I hate complicated passwords. I like the password structure that I have. And if you follow the setup that I give you, odds are you're not going to need a super strong password set anyways. Number 3, non-administrators cannot see available updates. Some people allow users to sign up to their website for whatever reason. Those people don't need to know that you have updates that you could do. That's a security vulnerability. You don't want people to know that you're using outdated versions of themes or plugins. So make sure that this is green. Okay, again, going to 4 and 5, we've already covered that. The table was automatically changed, and that's just another security thing that just makes things easier. Number 8 is something that most people don't bother with. What this option does is it allows you to lock your site down so that during specific hours nobody can log in at all, even yourself. If you know that you're not going to be logging in from 11 o'clock until 7 o'clock, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning, every day, no matter what, you can check that if you want to. And this is especially nice if, for whatever reason, you're aware that you're under a hack attack. And we'll go over that later on because that's something that you will be aware of in the future if you use this plugin. The number 9 is you're not blocking known bad hosts and agents. So we're going to click on this to fix this. We want to update this. We want to protect our website from these bad hosts. Okay, so we're going to check the box. We're going to click the blue box. All right. And then we're going to save changes. Now what this is going to do is it's going to give us just a little additional security by blocking places where hackers are known to launch attacks from. Okay, so it's going to just weed out the absolute worst. And for most people, your customers are not going to be coming from there anyways, so it's nothing to worry about. So we're going to go click back on the dashboard. Okay, so number 9 went from the orange to the green. So now we know this is fine. Our login area is protected from brute force attacks, which is great. Must be a recent change to their default, because originally you had to set that up. And we'll go over that a little bit later on. Now, one of the things that I really like to set up, even though it's blue, is number 11. I like to hide where my admin area is. And actually, I thought this was fixed by number 10, the brute force. No, we can't use this option right now because we don't have the permalinks. Okay, it looks like this is kind of a hassle to turn on right now. But what this does allow you to do, if you can get it set up on your site, it allows you to change the admin area. So instead of it being up here at the top, your domain /wp-admin or the wp login.php, you're going to be able to configure that, and you're going to be able to change it to something else, so that anybody who's using a little bot to hack your site with, which is what most people will do, it allows you to change the login from that page to another page that you choose, and you'll want to write that down so you don't forget where it is, otherwise you can't log in. And then the majority of the bots will not be able to have any attempt to log into your site. So if they can't log into your site, they can't hack your site. Okay? It's just one of those really useful things to have. And every site that I use for my money site or my PBN sites, I always enable that, just so that nobody can get, can find where my admin site is. Okay. We're actively blocking attackers trying to scan our site for vulnerabilities. That's a 404 option, I think. Limits the amount of 404s that people are able to try and do with the site. This must be another change, because before you had to specifically enable this. Anything with a .ht access is usually something that's going to be in blue. And that's the last green one. We'll cover some of the other things that you can do. And this alone right here is pretty good for just doing a PBN site. Okay, and if you want, if you go up under the tweaks, you've got all these things in yellow, and anything highlighted in yellow is something that can and possibly will break your site, depending on what your theme or the plugins use. And if you're going to use this stuff, nothing on this page will lock you out of your website. Okay, so don't be afraid of locking yourself out of the site. Now, one easy thing that you can do is start at the top. Okay, and click these. Okay, so click one at a time, save changes, and then make sure you visit your site. Okay, see how your site looks after you check that. If your site looks like you wanted it to, it's safe to assume that that did not break your site. Okay, and then go back, check the next one, save the change, visit the site again. Each one of these that you do is just just makes your site that much more secure. Okay, obviously if something breaks your site, you don't want to use that. You'll want to come back in here and you'll want to uncheck that. Okay, but there's a bunch of different options in here that aren't part of the default. Okay, and one of the only things that I say to stay away from are things that involve htaccess. Anything with .htaccess is something that's a possible problem. So even though it's probably not going to break your site or lock you out or anything, I would avoid anything with .htaccess unless you know what you're doing. And again, I can't stress this enough, especially before you do anything in this tweaks tab. Okay? Anything in here, make sure that your website is backed up. If you haven't done it already, back it up before you start doing anything with tweaks. Okay? SSL, unless you know what you're doing with SSL, don't do anything. Okay? This is where you could actually lock yourself out to make it so you can't even log into your own website, which is pretty secure, by the way. But odds are you're probably going to want to get back into it. So leave it alone. Okay. So let's look at some of the different options here real quick. I know we're going, past the 20-minute mark. So let's just get real quick with this. All right, and this is if you want to lock your site down for a specific amount of time. This is under the Away tab up here, by the way. This lets you lock the site down so that nobody can log in during a one-time thing or a daily between this time and this time, or this date and this date and this time and this time. If you're going to be on vacation and not looking at your site, not doing anything, this is probably an option that you want to consider. It'll lock your site down so that nobody can do anything. And again, this is what you can do to set it for if you don't want to log in between the hours of whenever you're asleep to whenever you wake up. All right, under backup. Backup is a great thing. And again, you created the first backup when you first installed it. But what I like to do is I like to do an actual schedule. Okay. And I like to do one backup a week, and I have it sent to my email. Okay. And then I archive it in case there's any problem. And that way, I've got a number of emails with months of backups, and then the website saves 10 of them. If my website gets hacked and I don't notice it for a month, I've still got, a number of good backups. So I can't stress this enough. At least once a week, I have it. It emails me at like 1, 2 in the morning, lets me know it's done a backup. What more can you ask for? It's automatic security. It's great. Going to go back over to detect. And this is the 404 detection I was talking about. This limits it to, how many it'll let you do. And I actually think that you should drop it down, because nobody should be getting 20 404 errors within 5 minutes. Okay? I'm going to drop that down to 5, because people should not be getting, it's just too much. And then I always blacklist, and then I drop the threshold down to 2. So if they're coming onto my site and they're probing for security things that they can do, they get to do it twice. On the second time they get locked out, their IP gets banned. You don't want to mess around with that. File change detection is a great thing. This will let you know, like, if you do get hacked, what actually was changed. Okay, and then it will email you anytime that you make a change. So if you make a change to your website, it's going to tell you, hey, you made a change. And you'll be like, oh yeah, I updated my Better WP security plugin today. So it's not a big deal. But if you start getting emails saying, hey, you changed a bunch of files, and you're like, I haven't been on my site in 2 days, that's a clue that something bad is going on. Okay, so that's just an easy thing to do. Gives you peace of mind. If you don't see any problems, you'll be fine. And then the last one is login limits. Okay, The login limits combined with hiding your administrative backend really prevents you from having to have the super strong passwords, the ones that nobody's going to remember, okay? If you know what your user and password is, and you're not going to forget it, I would drop this down to 2 or maybe 3. I would also do the same thing for this one. I know what my user and password is on every site. So I have no reason to have more than 2 attempts, because if it's not one, it's going to be a different password or login. So there's no reason to have this, okay? And now, if I have a bad login, it's going to remember it for up to 5 minutes. So if I do 2 within 5 minutes, it's going to lock me out. And the lockout period is going to be 15 minutes. And then, again, the same thing with the 404. If people are probing for 404 errors, it's going to blacklist repeat offenders. And that threshold is set to 3, and I change it to 2. And I get email notices for this. And this is how you will know that your website is being hacked. If you start getting in a bunch of emails from a bunch of different IPs, you will know that your website is being hacked. At that point, you probably will want to call your host and see if there's something that they can do to protect your website, just to make sure that they don't actually get on. Now, again, this is the minimum level security that you're going to want to have. If you have this in place where you set up, you hide the back end, you set it so there's only so many attempts that they can have before it blocks their IP and then bans their IP, most people should not have problems. Okay, and there's other levels of security that we're going to go over in the future. Definitely a lot more technical than this. But again, this is the basic level. If you have this, you should not have problems. I've had my websites up now for 18 months, and I've not had a single one hacked. And I have 25 websites that I have up right now. Again, not a single one has been hacked in the 18 months that I've been having them set up. Okay? If your website gets hacked, you'll wish you spent the 20 or 30 minutes per website it took to set it up, because it's going to take you hours and hours and hours to go through, clean up whatever they did, to disavow all the links that they built. Better WP Security is a lifesaver, and it is literally the least you can do to protect your website, and it's free. Go get Better WP Security and install it on your website right now.